War miracles. War is dirty and disgusting. It's ugly at face value, but in hindsight, the magical aspects of war are so obvious. And the miraculous thing, really, is that you miss them the first time. Shortly before April, I tell my family via email that I'll be leaving on a month-long mission to a place that is famous. As always, there's the OPSEC. I can't reveal the location even if I want to, but it's fun to tell them this way, to tug on their heartstrings a little. I can picture my mom scratching her head at the computer trying to figure out why I refer to somewhere in Iraq as famous. In April 2004, exactly 1 year ago, the American press was loaded with the first real scandal of the war. Pictures of Iraqi prisoners bound up and tied to leashes, American soldiers holding the other ends of these leashes parading around these half-naked, sometimes fully naked people, and one now famous PFC in front of one naked prisoner, a bag over the prisoner's head in the PFC with a smile and thumbs up for the camera. All this happened at Abu Ghraib prison. When we arrive at the prison by the Chinook helicopter, we can tell right away that Abu Ghraib is a different world. It's the same war, the same fight, but there is something more, an aura of sorts. It's an energy. This place is alive. Maybe some of it has to do with the whole naked photograph thing. Maybe it's fame or infamy or what makes it so interesting, like Times Square in New York City. But there is something deeper, just like the energy of New York City goes much deeper than Times Square. For the next month, 10 soldiers from Headquarters Company will live the Abu Ghraib experience. We will breathe it and we will taste it. There are several prison buildings on post, and we stay in one of the old ones. It's been converted from housing Iraqi prisoners to housing soldiers. 1.5 feet of concrete protects us from the daily mortaring. The base is small and personal, and I think this has a lot to do with its aura. The soldiers stationed at Abu Ghraib are the soldiers fighting the war. This is where the bad guys come to be punished, the genuine bad guys. Even the desk jockeys who live in Abu Ghraib aren't desk jockeys. They are investigators, interrogators, and intelligence. They run the war. It starts and ends with them. In the chow hall, we eat among top executives from the CID, Criminal Investigation Department, and the FBI. Romanian soldiers who are allowed to have full beards eat at the table across from us. Australian and British soldiers eat next to them. Most of the rest are either American military intelligence or MPs, military police. Some are KBR, Kellogg Brown and Root employees, which consist mostly of local Iraqis and third country nationals from places like India and the Philippines. That's one thing people don't understand about this war. Everyone who hears contractor in relation to Iraq thinks it's some Halliburton or Blackwater rep who's pulling in $100,000 to $250,000 per year. People don't realize that the thousands of cooks, laundry service personnel, and shit shower trailer cleaners who keep the war efforts going are making about $200 a month, and that's their wage after they've reimbursed their companies for flying them to the theater. And guess where 100% of their wage goes? Not in their pockets. They send it home to support their families. Perhaps the most fascinating group of soldiers at Abu Ghraib is a small team of special forces who sit at the far table near the door. They don't talk to anyone. They don't have to. They wear the new uniform that no one is issued yet, the gray and tan digital camouflage called the ACU, Army Combat Uniform. They don't wear rank or name tapes. There is only the strip on their left breast pocket, the pocket over their heart that reads U.S. Army. Their pants aren't tucked in, and while off duty they wear running sneakers instead of combat boots. Their hair is shaggy, their faces covered in stubble. They might shave once a week. Their eyes are dark and hold secrets that no one will ever know. And we, like boys looking up to men, watch the SF guys from across the room. We respect them and fear them, but something in the darkness of their eyes says, I respect you too, though I may just be imagining it. This post is a life all its own. It's smack in the middle of a lush oasis. The surrounding palm trees give the impression of a jungle. It's like a different world of wars past. It feels separated from the rest of Iraq. Our engineering project is an earth-moving mission to flatten out the southeast corner of the base, thus making more room for prison space. Our operation is constantly delayed, sometimes for several minutes, sometimes for an hour, all the day, for mortar attacks and car bombs or insurgents trying to break through the release of their friends. The regular hours are one of the most satisfying parts of this mission. We work even 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. with an hour for lunch at noon. There are 2 other engineering companies with whom we're working, and they handle the swing and night shifts. The days are hot and dusty, but the union hours, as we call them, are heaven sent. Also, our highest authority is 2 buck sergeants, Ken Payne and Tim Folden. Having a low-ranking commander in the Army is always a good thing. There are no higher up breathing down their necks to breathe down our necks about accountability or productivity. Work hours are leisurely, and our activities off-duty are less monitored. There are 8 of us besides Payne and Folden: Todd Winger, Josh Roman, Justin Green, Austin Rhodes, Josh Miller, and I. Our 2 maintenance guys, Tom Zek and Harding. Tom Zek is a buck sergeant and supervises Hardy, a smart-ass specialist like the rest of us. Harding keeps an inflatable sheep in his back room at camp. The sheep has a hole built in underneath his tail. That's the kind of humor you see in the Army. The Yuka guys, we run the dump trucks, dozers, graders, and hydraulic excavator. One of us sits in the Hi-Ex on the northeast side of a post, the giant surplus of dirt here. 2 at a time, we drive dump trucks to the pickup spot. The Hi-Ex fills us up, and we drive to the southeast corner to dump. This is where we need to build up the land to make it level. As the dirt comes, we level it out with our dozers. Then we fine-tune the leveling with the graders. We take turns on the equipment, and Payne and Folden supervise, Tom Zek and Harding waiting for stuff to break down. One morning around 6:30, we're sitting around the prison cell waking up. Josh Roman walks in from outside. He's an early bird today and went to breakfast chow. Abu Ghraib, by the way, has one of the best Army chow halls I've ever eaten in. I think it's because KBR never has to cook for more than 1,000 people. Breakfast is especially good, but only Roman went today. We had a pot of coffee ready, and Folden pours us a cup. Roman grounds the rifle, Kevlar, and body armor. You guys hear the car bomb that went off this morning? He asked, like 6 o'clock. No one had. Our prison building is less than 100 yards from the front gate, apparently, where it went off, and no one heard it. By April, we're fully accustomed to explosions. We lived through Samara and a couple explosions on the road, and Camp Anaconda was blown up regularly enough that an explosion meant little more than an inconvenient stay in a concrete bunker. When you're at war, a lot of things are on your mind. Worrying about every little thing that blows up is a waste of time. Besides, if a mortar or any other kind of explosion is close enough to harm you, you're pretty much toasted no matter what. Most of the time is unavoidable, not to mention we are living in a concrete prison designed to confine terrorists. Not much could be heard through the walls of this place, but Josh Roman sticks to his story. A car bomb went off a half an hour ago, and we should probably hold up a minute or 2 before going out to the job site. We continue to drink coffee and get ready. We put our tops on, lace up our boots, don our body armor, throw on our Kevlars, and grab our rifles. We are tentative. We calculate the odds of a second attack, but we have a mission. In our prison-turned barracks, the short hallway where our prison rooms are located runs into a main hallway. The main hallway leads outside. On the ceiling of the main hallway, every 20 or so feet, there are long fluorescent lights. The hallway's walls are solid concrete except for spots of built-in ventilation that let in the quarter-inch of dust from the sandstorms. In the winter in Iraq, you get peanut butter mud. The rest of the year, sandstorms throw enough dust to bury Manhattan. I walked down our little hallway. I'm telling you, man, don't go out there, says Roman. They're hot today. Where our little hallway meets the main hallway, I turn around, and in the coolest voice I say, "Oh, Roman, quit being a pussy." As I turn around, kablam! A second car bomb explodes. It's funny how intuitive your body can be to a violent explosion after only a handful of them. You can tell how far away, what direction, and even a rough estimate of the size. This one is huge, and it comes from the main gate. The percussion blast, even through the thick concrete walls, numbs my brain for a second. I watch as the layer of the dust of the floor jumps to the air and settles back down as if connected, a single dirt blanket, like magic. One of the fluorescent lights unhinges and swings down from one side. One of the light tubes pops out, flies through the air, and shatters in a white cloud of dust. The other tube sits in the swinging housing, flickering on and off, trying to stay lit. I pivot in a ballet-worthy 180 degrees and tell Roman I think we should wait a little while. They're hot today. Nowhere else could that timing have been better, and nowhere else could you find humility in the form of a car bomb. After a good half hour, we walk to the job site and begin working. It's just another day. On another day, Todd Wigger runs for a mortar attack. Miller, Roman, and I hear the mortars go off as a deal out of a game of Texas Hold'em. Playing poker is an excellent way to kill time in the Army. I wave a hand to the room across the hall. Hey, Sergeant Fulton, I yell. Yeah, we're not dead. I say, that's good, he says. After any attack, we have to report to our chain of commander that we're okay. This is called accountability. Are you all in here? Fulton asked me, except Wags. All right. And we continue our game. We're using these awful candies for poker chips. They come from a big bowl in the chow hall, and no one ever eats them. Remember the sugar-free candies you get after a good checkup at the dentist? They're worse than those. We each grabbed a healthy handful on our way back from dinner chow. No one thought to bring poker chips with us to Abu Gharabi, and they were the next best thing. They come in 4 colors, and we give each other a value. Red is 5, orange is 10, yellow is 20, and green is 100. Mortars are flying around exploding, and Josh Roman buries is my bet. I'm going to beat you like the Red Sox beat the Yankees, he says. Low blow, man, low blow. Roman is from Massachusetts. I'm from New York. His room back in Anaconda is kitty corner to mine. So when I walk out of the room, I have to see a stupid 2004 World Series Championship banner he hung on his wall outside. On my wall outside, I wrote, yeah, 1 out of 186 ain't bad. Then just to one-up him, I stole a pair of his underwear, clean underwear, thank you, and wrote, go Yankees, down to the fly, in permanent marker. I see his rays, and then the son of a bitch throws down a full house. Then he collects a pile of Dunce's candy. Josh Miller from nowhere, Ohio, grew up on a dairy farm. He says he's thankful he folded. Then Todd Wigger runs into our room. He's out of breath and sweating. Holy shit, he says. He's smiling, thankful to be alive, I suppose. What happened to you? I ask him. Did you hear those mortars? Yeah, I was just running from them, he says. Holy shit, man, that was crazy. There's a wooden rack in the common area where he placed our Kevlars, body armor, and weapons. It's our best friend at 3 o'clock when our shift ends. Todd is sweating bullets and heaving like he just finished a PT test. He was on his way back from the internet cafe, and he ran all the way from the middle of the base to our barracks. He doesn't even acknowledge the existence of the rack, just stands there smiling in shock. I ask him if he wants in on some poker, and all he says is, holy shit. On his face is another story. He wants to say much more. He wants to grab us and shake us to reality. He wants us to understand, to feel his fear, his excitement, the high he is on. He simply can't. Hey, Fulton, I yell. Wags is here. All right, he yells back. Good to see you, buddy. Want us to you and I ask again? Yeah, he says, his mind still wrapping around the fact that he just run from flying bombs. All right. Blind as 10, I say and deal. Holy shit, Wagner says to himself. His hands are shaking as he puts his gear on the rack. A few days later, I leave the barracks to grab some dinner. I go alone because it's nice to have solitude sometimes. Abu Ghrabi is a unique setup for a military post because it was a high-security prison. It is a series of small secure bases inside one larger secure base. The intersections are mostly housing quarters, command quarters, and main prison buildings. The chow hall and internet phone cafe are large trailers in the middle of these tiny enclosed spaces. The enclosed section in which we are staying has a barracks, a laundry service station, and a gym that is free weights, treadmills, and machines. It's surrounded by a 20-foot-high concrete wall with guard towers. When the guard towers are manned, it means things that have gone horribly awry. At the entrance of our section, there's a spot where a manned gate once stood, but there is no longer a need for one. Our gate is now a 30-foot break in the wall. As I near the break in the wall, thinking about the day, it's close to the end of dinner chow, and no one is around. My rifle slung across my back. For the first week in country, it was hard to get used to the awkwardness of body armor. One of the difficulties was taking my weapon on and off its sling got caught in my ammo pouches, turreting bayonet, field dressing pack on my arm. By now, though, I'm used to the mechanics of protective clothing and could probably pull my weapon across my armored body while shimmying underneath a dump truck and eating Twinkies. I've strategically shifted the components attached to my armor so is a diagonal stretch of open body armor where my sling fits snug. Right outside our gate is the post fuel point. 2 M968 Hammett trucks are on each 25 gallons of diesel fuel. Any piece of equipment on post that needs fuel comes here. It's nice having the fuel point so close to us that except for one minor detail, 5,000 gallons of diesel fuel is one hell of a target for mortar trucks.